What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here with another video for you guys, and today we're going to be analysing the Christmas run-in for Tottenham Hotspur, the next 10 games, which doesn't make for good reading if you're a Tottenham Hotspur fan. We're going to bring up in a minute an Opta analyst analysing the fixtures, going by fixture difficulty. If you look at the first 10 games for Spurs, on paper, was probably a more favourable run-in. And now you're looking at the next 10 games, and it does make for a bit of a daunting read. It's tougher. Obviously, we've played a lot of the bottom half teams, and obviously the results against Ipswich and Crystal Palace have been very damaging for that. That put us in a position where we are going to have to get some results against teams probably that will surprise a few people. Maybe games where going into it you probably think it's going to be hard to win those games, or expecting a loss, and we're going to have to step up and get big wins. Now, the positive thing is, knowing this team and how we play, we go into every game probably with a chance of winning. I don't think I go into any game thinking there's no chance we win this game, but as well, as has shown this season, we're inconsistent, and that's something we're going to have to get over, and that's something that we've clearly struggled with for a long time, to be honest. And with this run of games coming up, that's going to have to change. Yeah, I think, like, as much as we go into every game with a chance of winning, we also go into the game with a chance of losing as well, with the way we play our football. It depends which way you want to look at it, glass half empty or glass half full. But you look at the first 10 games, like you say, we've played a lot of the teams in the bottom half. 5 losses already this season is nowhere near good enough for the fixtures that we have had. And we'll look at this fixture difficulty chart that Opta have given us. Which one we're going to have first?
I guess 5 games first makes more sense.
So we'll look at the next 5 games. We've got an opponent average rating of 90.6. So the games are Man City away, Fulham at home, Bournemouth away, Chelsea at home, and Southampton away. Which puts us in, where is it, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th hardest next 5 games in the Premier League. If we're going to give a bit of a prediction, how many points do you think that we'll get in the next 5 games?
Knowing Tottenham will probably beat City and Chelsea and lose to Southampton and Fulham or something. That's probably how Tottenham do it. But I think what I think we probably need to get over the next 5 games to keep us competitive, you're probably looking at 10 points, I think. So can we get 10 points out of those next 5 games? I mean, it's difficult. Obviously, Man City away next. You don't expect anything there. Fulham at home, they're going well, but you know, away from home, they're not as good as they are at home. So you've got to hope we win that game. Bournemouth away, they've beaten Man City and they've beaten Arsenal at their ground. So that's a midweek game as well. So I don't know who that favours. The fact that it's midweek, if it favours us or them, but it is a midweek on a Thursday night.
I think it favours them.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know who it favours, because we both like to play very aggressive style, don't we? And we're both going to have to use our squad, so it's about who has a deeper squad. So I'm not sure who it favours, the fact that it's a midweek.
But also the momentum under the lights, the atmosphere it usually brings a night.
Who knows what momentum's going to be, though, in 3 games' time.
Yeah, but right now I think Bournemouth, particularly at home, are going into it with a better momentum, and under the lights with the home crowd proper up for it, that usually does favour the home side.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know whether it will or not. I'm undecided. But we then have Chelsea at home. Chelsea have been good this season, but away from home, they have not gotten great results against the bigger sides. They drew with Man United, poor performance. They lost to Liverpool away from home as well. So can we get a result at home to Chelsea? Maybe. I don't see why not. And then away to Southampton, you fully expect to get 3 points. So getting 10 points is going to be tough. I'm not going to lie. It's going to be tough, but it's not impossible. But we're going to have to basically, I would say, I think we need 3 points out of Fulham and Southampton. And then can we find 4 points out of Bournemouth away, Chelsea at home, and City away? That's the big question.
So what's your prediction?
So basically, we can only have 1 loss in our next 5, is what I'm saying, or unless we have 2 No, we can't have 2 losses. I'm gonna say 9 points.
9 points, you reckon?
Yeah.
Where are those coming?
I reckon Fulham, Bournemouth and Southampton.
You reckon 3 wins out of those 3 games?
Yeah.
No, I can't see that. I mean, for me...
Or we beat Chelsea. I don't think it's impossible we beat Chelsea.
It's not impossible, but I just don't think we're going to do that. For me, I think we lose to Man City. I think we beat Fulham, lose to Bournemouth, draw with Chelsea, and beat Southampton. That's what I'm going to go for. 7
points.
Yeah. Which I don't think is good enough. I think we'll slip behind with 7 points. You look at the teams in and around us in terms of the fixtures that they've got. Man United only a point behind us with Ruben Amorim. They've also got 2 very hard away games in Arsenal and Man City. A hard home game with Forest with the way they're playing at the moment. Ipswich away and Everton at home. I mean, those fixtures do look a bit more favourable, maybe, but
Similar.
maybe not. You know, Arsenal away.
I mean, they're saying the difficulty index of saying ours are slightly easier.
Yeah, it is more or less the same, I guess.
More or
yeah,
less
you're
the
right.
same.
Brighton have got the easiest run out of everyone, and Brighton obviously are above us at the moment. Chelsea have got a 3rd easiest run. They're obviously above us at the moment. Villa have got a fairly easy run as well in terms of what Opta are saying. Arsenal have got an easier run than us. Newcastle. I mean, all these teams that are fighting in contention with us have all got a considerable easier game fixture pile up than us.
Yeah, but I know that's how that's how it is on paper, but football's never played on paper, is it? Obviously, looking at it bare face like that. I mean, how many times we sat here and saying, "Look at our run, look at this," and it never pans out the way you think
it
it
did at
is.
the back end of last season.
When we lost all those games, yeah. But I remember before that, we were like between like January and March. I look at all these games, we're gonna look how many points we can get. And we never did. I'm not saying maybe it's because we weren't good enough, but I think as well when you look at opposition teams, it never pans out the way you think it's going to pan out. And there's always a lot of the teams they pull off wins you don't expect, and also they drop points where you don't expect them to drop points as well. So. They do have easier runs on paper. You know, the Opta is saying that they're definitely got easier runs, but all we have to do is concentrate on ourselves. That's what I would say. And as we need to just pick up points where we can, and hopefully don't. The aim of the game is come. You know, you want to get into the like January time, and as long as we're still in contention, then. Yeah, that's all you can do at this point, because we've lost a lot of ground with some really poor defeats. We just don't want to lose too much. Just don't want to go too far behind. At the moment, we're 3 points behind, so you just got to take it week by week and hope you're not dropping too far back.
With 4 points separating 3rd and 13th at the moment, that's crazy, isn't it? Just 4 points, right? If we do get, let's say, my prediction, 7 points, where do you envisage us to be in 5 games' time in the league table?
That would put us on 23.
Yeah.
If we get 7 points, that'll probably keep us about where we are. I would say maybe move up 1, but I can't see too much movement with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think 7 points isn't good enough from those fixtures. We need to really beat Bournemouth, to be honest. I think
beat one of Bournemouth or Chelsea. I think we need to make sure no drop points against Fulham and Southampton. That has to be an absolute given. And then if we can find 4 points out of City, Bournemouth, and Chelsea, those 3, knowing Tottenham will beat City and then we'll probably lose to Southampton or something. That's just how it goes. But if we take out City as a loss, we need to get 4 points out of Bournemouth and Chelsea, is what I'm saying. And that's not completely crazy to suggest we can do that. Chelsea, so their midweek game will be Southampton, so I'm guessing they're going to rest a lot of players. But you've got to be careful, because they've been doing that in Europa League and it's fine, but then doing it in the Premier League is a different kettle of fish.
Yeah.
So you've got to be careful changing their whole 11s like that. But they do have the squad to do it, that's the thing.
That's the thing, yeah. So yes, it is a daunting task. If you look at the next 10 games, if we bring up the difficulty for the next 10 games, it's even harder reading, to be honest, because we sit in, according to Opta, the joint 2nd hardest fixture run in the next 10 games. So it ends off with Arsenal away. So that's, I think, 12th or 13th or 14th of January, around that period. So after Southampton, we play Liverpool at home, Forest away, Wolves at home, Newcastle at home, and Arsenal away. In terms of what we did against these teams last season, obviously in the next 5 games, we lost to Man City, didn't we? We beat Fulham.
We drew Man City.
We drew with Man City. We beat Fulham. we beat Bournemouth, we lost to Chelsea, and I guess we'll say we beat Southampton because we beat all the relegated teams away from home last season, I think. In the
Liverpool game we won.
Yeah, the 5 games after that, the Liverpool game we won, the Forest game
we won,
Wolves we lost, Newcastle we won, and Arsenal we drew. So it's actually like if we were to replicate the results that we got last season, it would actually be all right.
That'd be brilliant.
Yeah.
That'd be brilliant.
But I just can't see us doing that.
Well, are we worse than last season?
I don't know about if we're worse, but I think a lot of the other teams are better.
Yeah, I think the other teams are better. I think they are. But obviously we're showing a lot of inconsistency in results at the moment. But when, for example, like games like Liverpool at home, games like Chelsea at home, have we played any big? We played Arsenal at home this season. But yeah, we lost that game, but again, it wasn't like we were completely outplayed. We couldn't break them down. They couldn't create anything, and they got from a set piece. It's going to be very different games when we play Liverpool and we play Chelsea. Then I don't think they're going to be as defensive as Arsenal were in those games. So, like as daunting as it is on paper, like I think the way I know we haven't maybe got the results. Against some good teams so far this season, obviously losing to Newcastle, losing to Arsenal, but watching how we've played in those games, like I don't look at that thinking like there's no chance we can get results in those games. However, you know, the performances against Palace and Ipswich are very concerning, and that needs to be rectified 100%. But I do think we've shown that we can go toe to toe with these teams. It's definitely not the case that I go into this run thinking like I can't see us picking up any points, because I definitely can, and even in the way we're playing, I definitely can see us picking up points. It's about whether are we going to show the consistency we've shown in these first 5 games, not even the first 5 games. I would say the last 3 games really, where we've played Palace and Ipswich, and in between that we played Villa and we won. So the last 3 games has been really bad performance, great performance, and really bad performance again. Before that, I thought we were showing a fairly consistent level of performance, albeit results again have been inconsistent. But it's about whether we can get that consistent performance in our play. It's about Ange figuring that out. If we can, I'm not saying we're going to win all those games, but I think the run-in will look a lot less daunting if we can get that level of performance back up.
I just question if we can get that level of performance back up on a regular basis, particularly away from home. I mean, the away form has been shocking for the last year, never mind for just this season. I mean, 4 wins since when? Last year, away from home?
Again, I agree with you, but again, our performances away from home this season, a few of the games, performance-wise, haven't been as bad as the results suggest. I don't think we've been as bad away from home as 1 win out of 5 suggests. I think we've been better than that.
But that's the results we've been getting.
I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying performance-wise, on another day, it could have been very different on a load of those games. It wasn't like we've just been terrible away from home and been battered everywhere we've gone. I don't think that's been the case. We've actually performed quite well in a lot of these games, and a few of them being unlucky, a few of them we've had only ourselves to blame while we've lost it. But like, we're not getting battered every game. It's not like it's 3-0 and we're just turning up and getting absolutely slaughtered. A lot of them are close. Like, obviously, the Palace game we lost deservedly, but it was 1-0. The Brighton game, we were 2-0 up and we lost 3-2. The Newcastle game, we should have gotten something out of that game. The Leicester game, we should have gotten something out of that game. And obviously, we beat Man United at Old Trafford. So, I think, hopefully, what I'm hoping for, and this is me trying to be positive, is if we can carry on performing like that away from home, and hopefully the results will start to turn if we continue to put in good performances. If we're going to put in more performances like the second half against Brighton and Palace, then we won't be getting results. If we put in more performances like we did against Newcastle and Man United, then we will be getting results. So it's about which Tottenham is going to be in this period, I guess.
So in the next 5 games, Liverpool, Forest, Wolves, not Newcastle and Arsenal, how many points are you predicting there?
In the 5 after that, I'm going to say, so I'm saying 10 from those 5, and then I'm going to say probably lose to Arsenal away, knowing Tottenham. Probably don't beat Liverpool. I would say 8 points.
Where are those 8 points coming?
I'm going to say we can beat Newcastle at home. Hopefully we can beat Wolves at home, and then get a draw out of Forest or Liverpool. Sorry, get 2 points between Liverpool and Forest, and then a loss to Arsenal.
So you think we're going to draw to Liverpool, draw to Forest, beat Wolves, beat Newcastle, and lose to Arsenal?
Yeah.
That's a tall order, in my opinion.
Is it? I mean, that's not that impressive.
I think we're going to lose to Liverpool, draw with Forest. Wolves, I mean, haven't Wolves beaten us at home for like last 2 years?
Yep, it's time to beat them.
How many days in between the Forest and the Wolves game?
I think Forest is a Thursday night and
Wolves in the Sunday.
Yeah, but I'm guessing Wolves as well have a midweek game.
All right, for argument's sake, I'll say we'll beat Wolves.
Wolves will play Man United midweek, and we'll play Forest.
So I'll say we'll beat Wolves. That's 4 points. Newcastle, I'll go for a draw, and Arsenal, I'll go for a loss. So I'm going to go for 4 points. Yeah, 4 points.
So you're saying 11 points out of the next 10 games?
Well, am I saying 4 points? I said, yeah, draw at Forest, a win at Wolves, and a draw. So I'm saying 5 points, actually.
5 points. So you're saying 12 points out of the next 10 games?
Yeah.
And I'm saying 18 points out of the next 10 games. You'll probably be somewhere in the middle.
If it is 12 points, I mean, that will be disastrous.
If it's 12 points, we'll be bottom half, no doubt about it.
Yeah. And if it is 12 points, if it is what I predict, will Ange be in a job by the end of these 10 games?
Depends how close we are to the top four. But if it's 12 points, I can't see us being very close.
Nowhere near the top four if it's 12 points.
Yeah.
Because right now, we sit on 16.
Yeah.
And that's been nowhere near good enough. So if we get 12 in the same amount of games.
Yeah, but as we say, the league's very tight. So everyone's dropping points. Yeah. So
I don't think it will be this tight come 10 games time, though.
No, I don't think it'll be this tight, but it'll still be tight. If we're more than, let's say 8 points away, then
you think he's going to get sacked?
I mean, the writing will be it'll be difficult for him to justify staying.
You've got to remember, we got the Man United game in the cup in the middle of all that as well.
Yeah.
And then I think before the Arsenal game, I think you got third round of the FA Cup coming in. So there are other games, and obviously all the Europa League games as well.
Mm-hmm.
So there's even more fixtures to think about. But I'm just not confident by any stretch of the imagination in these next 10 games.
Yeah, but if I asked you this after the Villa game, it would have been a different story, wouldn't it? Like you would have been a lot more confident with a lot more of these games.
True, because I really genuinely believe that Villa game was us turning a corner, and I felt like that Villa game was a bit of a statement win. After the Ipswich game, it's quite evident that it's not, and we're still inconsistent.
But as I've said, like sometimes this is a period where teams start to find a bit of consistency. Definitely under Pochettino that was the case. Our early season form was always very inconsistent, even in the good seasons. Even in the season when we challenged Leicester, I remember.
But this isn't the Pochettino team. This is the Ange team. And
I know. I'm
just as good as the Poch team.
I'm just saying, yeah, but and we're playing in a league which is the league is very tight in quality. We have a good team. When I'm comparing our team compared to the teams that we're competing with top four with, I think we're very much right in there when it comes to quality wise, in my opinion. So as much as we're not as good as, the question isn't are we as good as Poch? The question is are we as good as these other teams? And I think we are. So can we find some consistency where we can be just as, if not more consistent than these other teams? That's the question. Not can we be more or less consistent than.
And I don't think we can.
I think we can. I think the teams we're challenging, forget the top three. I think everyone after that we definitely can.
I don't think we can, and I think when you're looking at the teams that we're challenging with, the majority of them have had, on paper, a harder run than what we've had. We've had, I think, statistically one of the easiest first 10 games of the season.
Again, it doesn't work like that. Villa drew with Ipswich. Like it doesn't always work like Chelsea drew at home to Palace. It doesn't always work
Villa
like
drew
that.
with Ipswich. They still got one more point than we got. I
know. I'm just saying it doesn't always work like just because they had a harder run. That means that they're going to go on a run of wins now because it's slightly easier. The Premier League is very difficult, and just because we've got a harder run, it doesn't mean they're all going to be losses. Doesn't mean. I mean, statistically, it means it's more likely that we're going to pick up a lot of points, but not everything is stats, and it's all about how good you are and how you perform, and all these different things when it comes to playing these
You like
teams.
to change a narrative, and when the stats go in our favour, you're firmly, only on the stats and all this kind of stuff. And now the stats don't go in our favour. It's all about nothing to do with stats.
Not at all. When I talk about stats, I talk about how we're playing.
You're talking
right?
about.
I talk about how the metrics.
We hardly picked up many points against anyone in the top 10 last season.
Yeah.
All our points came from the lower half of the league. And I'm looking at the fixtures, and I'm looking at the next 10 games, and I just can't see. I can't see enough points for Ange to stay in a job. I really genuinely believe. I just can't see how Ange is going to stay in a job. I want him to stay in a job, and I'm backing Ange, and I really think if he gets the job over the long term, and if they stick with him through the bad period, then we can come out the other end. I do believe that. But knowing Daniel Levy and knowing the way this club operates, I can't see by the Arsenal game Ange being in a job.
I can.
I think it's a big ask, man.
But I don't like this narrative. It's like the narrative is he's kind of already in a fight for his job at the moment. That's how we're talking. Like he has to get a certain amount of points to keep his job. Let's just we could get 12 points and we're like 3 points off fourth because everyone else has been terrible as well. We don't know the situation. It's all about context. But obviously, if we do get what you're saying and then we've fallen 10 points behind, and the atmosphere is toxic and all that kind of stuff, then we'll have to switch up because it's not working. That's the reality. We're gonna have to step up as a team 100%. Now, do I think we have the players to do that? I do. And if Ange isn't capable of doing that with these set of players, I think that is part of the problem, in my opinion. So I'm backing him to do it because I think he's a good manager and I think we have good players. But at the moment, we're too inconsistent and we're losing too many games, and that has to change. But when we're winning big, and we're winning by good margins, and we're winning well. So do I see it more likely that those wins will start to turn into losses, or do I see it more likely that those losses will start to turn into draws and wins? I would like to think I see it that way. But
yeah, you look at the first five games of the season compared to the last 6 games or whatever. I completely agree with you. Like in the first part of the season, the inconsistent results were there, but there's something to go on in terms of the losses. But these recent losses are just a massive cause of concern for me. Why are these performances starting to creep in terms of just there's nothing to go on these performances? The Palace game, second half at Brighton, the Ipswich game. Is that not like a massive concern for you? Like where at the beginning stage when we were losing, you could see like, oh, we actually deserved a lot more in these games. But recently when we're dropping points, we actually deserve nothing out of those games.
I agree with that. And that's a problem. I'm not saying I'm not concerned about it. That's something for Ange to figure out. I'm backing for him to figure that out. It's, why are we inconsistent? Why can't we keep up the intensity and all these different things? Throughout the season, teams come up with there's issues teams have, and sometimes they can figure them out, sometimes they can't. I'm backing Ange to do that. And I am concerned about these recent performances. 100%. The Ipswich game and the Palace game are massive red flags. They're massively concerning because those are teams who are winless this season, and we've been terrible in both those games. But doesn't mean that will continue to be that way. And hopefully Ange, this break will probably come at a good time in terms of like sitting down and trying to figure out why this is happening, and we can try and get some sort of consistency in our play, which we did have before. I would say the second half against Brighton, we had some sort of consistency, and now that seems we've lost that in the last few weeks. Doesn't mean we can't get it back.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't mean we can't get it back, but I just, at this moment in time, I can't see it. Obviously, if we go and beat Man City this weekend, all hopes start to come back, and maybe I'll have a different tune. But I'm just so angry at this team. I really am so angry at this team for what they've shown over the past 2 or 3 weeks before the international break. I really am, because how can you go and batter Aston Villa, go and beat Man City, knock them out of the cup, and then go and do what you did against Ipswich, and before that beating West Ham by 4 goals to 1, absolutely battering them, and then go and lose to Crystal Palace? I mean, I'm just still seething and fuming about what they're showing on the pitch, and it's like, in the games that we've lost, there's a clear lack of fight, and he needs to galvanise these players and get that fight back in the team, because I don't know. I firmly believe there's something going on behind the scenes, and I think Ange has to sort this out quickly. Because if he doesn't sort out quickly, this season is going to drift away from us very quickly.
Oh.
But let me know what your thoughts are in the comments section below. Are you more positive like Sim, or are you more negative like me and the feelings towards this football club? But let me know your predictions. How many points do you think we're going to pick up over the next 10 games? I've said, how many points did I
12.
say? I said 12, and you've said
18.
18. If we do get 18, like, is that good enough?
If we do get 18, I mean, it's less than 2 points per game, which is the ratio you need to be getting top 4 usually, because that usually gets to like 70 points. So I mean, I think in this season probably yes, it is good enough, but in previous seasons you might argue maybe not. But yeah.
All right. Well, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.